Explained, the show where we answer one crucial question that will determine the outcome of the 2019 polls. I'm Aarti Subramaniam, and joining me on Explained is Mirror Now's consulting editor Vinay Tiwari.
Thank you, Aarti. Pleasure to join the show.
Now, since the Supreme Court verdict that allowed women of all ages to enter the Sabarimala temple, the state of Kerala has seen protests, violence, and a lot of political bickering. Surprisingly, the BJP and the Congress find themselves on the same side of this debate, with both of them opposing the entry of women into the temple. Pitted against them is the left government, which has actually backed the Supreme Court verdict. On today's Explained, we answer, will Sabarimala be the crucial factor that determines the outcome of the Kerala elections? Now, Vinay, before we answer that question, it's very crucial to look at the political landscape of Kerala. And it has largely been a bipolar race across years. Now, if you look at the assembly poll results, it's always alternated between the LDF and the UDF, and the BJP really has been nowhere in the picture. If you look at the Lok Sabha elections, interestingly, in 2014, Kerala was one of the states that saved Congress the blushes. They actually did reasonably well here, and the BJP was nowhere in the picture. But this has largely been a bipolar race between the CPM and the Congress.
Yes, two complete blocks of alliances in the state, which have governed it for the last almost 30 years. In spite of the fact, and very interestingly, significantly, RSS having a very strong presence in Kerala. It's a state where RSS has been present for a while. It's been almost 3 to 4 decades. They have the highest number of shakas in the state, and they've actually got a very good ground presence. And despite that, these two blocks have kind of governed the state ever since. Also remember, interestingly, Kerala is also the last surviving communist bastion in this country. So in many ways, after Tripura fell and BJP did well there, this is one state where the BJP...
You're not counting West Bengal there.
Not counting West Bengal yet, but yes. Yeah. Well, TMC in many ways is like a carbon copy of left, but technically it's not left. So the last left bastion in that sense, and that's now the new battleground of the left versus right politics.
Now, when and where did the BJP make an entry in this state? Let's just look at the BJP's performance across the years. Now, if you see specifically in the Lok Sabha polls, in 2014, they reached their peak. Now, with 10.50% of the vote share, they really dominated and hit the peak. They've never done so before. If you even look at their assembly polls results. Now, 2016 is a landmark year for BJP in the state of Kerala because along with 10.60% of the votes, they actually got one seat in Kerala. Now, this seat was actually won by O. Rajagopal, who's contested 15 elections. He's actually contested 15 elections, finally managed to win just one. A lot of people who are seeing this are wondering, so what? It's one seat. How does it matter? But the vote share tells you a very crucial story.
It does, and this is the overall state vote share. In fact, if you drill this vote share down further, and you see there are about 8 seats out of the 16 Lok Sabha at least, or 20 in Lok Sabha at least, where the BJP's vote share ranged actually between 10 and 28%. So there were places like Thrissur, Thiruvananthapuram, they got a vote share which is much higher than the state average as well. And that gave BJP a bit of a hope in the sense of finally making a dent in a citadel where they've never ever done well. And in that sense, O. Rajagopal's victory, notionally speaking, was the first foot in the door for the BJP in Kerala.
It was something that even the Prime Minister tweeted and congratulated the state BJP for their performance. But how does the BJP convert these votes into seats? Because they just got one seat. So what is the BJP strategy going to be? Now, to understand this, let's just first look at the breakup of the state. Now, Kerala is largely a Hindu-dominated state, with 55% being 55% of the population comprising Hindus. Now, if you further break that up, the two largest castes are the Erawas and the Nayars. Erawas have traditionally been left supporters, while Nayars have been Congress supporters. Now, the BJP's game plan essentially is to ensure Hindu consolidation.
That's right, and also to incrementally chip away at both these blocks, because without doing that, they really won't be in a position to win seats. The first part of that was Nayar Service Society, which is a very influential group amongst the Nayars. Traditionally, always Congress, for the first time, are showing a pro-BJP inclination this time, and I think their efforts have paid off to that extent. The subject that we're talking, Sabarimala, was one big factor in that. And unless they actually chip away the two things you see on the screen, from the Erawas and the Nayars, the BJP's dream of actually having more seats in the state will not work. And that's why they're working assiduously towards chipping off from both the blocks.
Which is why Sabarimala really was a game changer and the inflection point in state politics for you to see. Now, let's just look at why Sabarimala played this whole role of a game changer. Now, it converted Sabarimala, and when I say this is the BJP's game plan in the state of Kerala, They converted Sabarimala into the Ayodhya of the South. They used faith as a calling card.
Yes, and in the north, for instance, in UP and in Bihar, Ayodhya had a huge role in the change of BJP's fortunes all over the 90s and then even later as well. And in that sense, Sabarimala verdict gave them a God-sent opportunity. What also gave them a God-sent opportunity was the way in which the other two parties handled the fallout of the Supreme Court verdict.
Yes, I was just going to come to that, Vinay. Now, the other crucial factor that helped the BJP was the Congress and its ambivalence. Now, there was a lot of discord within the state leadership and the central leadership, where you saw the Central High Command actually backing the Supreme Court verdict, but the state saying, no, we're actually against this.
That's right, and that didn't go down very well with certain people. I think they got a little confused about where the position is. I think they underestimated the importance and the strength of the faith, especially in connection with Sabarimala as an incident. And I think that's where Congress slightly played a game which didn't work to their advantage. And the BJP was very quick to seize on it. In fact, all the protests that you saw post the verdict were in large sense being led by the RSS cadres on the ground. They were actually planning it out. They were doing it very actively. And that's where they seized that vacuum that Congress was leaving behind by giving their ambivalent position that you're talking of on the screen.
And the third crucial factor that helped the BJP was the fact that the LDF's position was such that they insisted that they're going to implement the Supreme Court verdict. Now, the LDF said that this is a law enforcement pitch, that's all it's about, this is not about faith. Now, the BJP ensured that this was a matter purely of faith. So, as you were mentioning, pitted against the position or the ambivalence of the Congress and the strident position of the left, the BJP really stood out like that.
That's right. And the left, again, slightly misread the pitch at the start. And they took a very strong position of implementing law and order, which again didn't go down well with their traditional supporters. So the Yarabas also were not very happy, even though the lower caste Yarabas were not that unhappy. But there are other groups as well which were not very happy with it because, as we said repeatedly, that Sabarimala is a very, very strongly emotive issue in the state. And both the parties kind of slightly misread it. In fact, if you know, last few weeks or so, the Kerala government has slightly piped the stridency down because they see that the BJP has moved in and taken advantage of the dissonance in both the camps.
But if you're the left, you look at this as an opportunity because you have both the Congress and the BJP fighting for the similar pie, for the same pie. And you have a large minority population as well that is looking towards you and saying what decision you're going to make on this issue.
That is true. But the BJP is playing a different game. They're not exactly playing the game as of now to win the Lok Sabha seats per se. They're also playing there are local body elections in 3 years from now. There's going to be an assembly election. The BJP's game plan has been very simple. In state after state, they've tried to replace the Congress as the principal party. They're doing that in Bengal, where the left is now being wiped out in many ways, and BJP is taking that space of the opposition party, and they're trying to do the same in Kerala. They know it's going to be a long haul, but the RSS strategy has always been to go for the long haul. That's what they did in Tripura, where finally left bastion fell, and this is much the same they're doing in Kerala.
Well, Sabarimala is an emotive issue. It's a polarizing issue, and unsurprisingly then, it is an electoral issue. Now, politics and faith have always gone hand in hand in India, but it depends on whether the BJP can cash into that or not.
Yes, and they've done that in the north. In all the Hindi-speaking states, faith has worked well for them through the 90s and later as well. Can they repeat the same thing in the south with riding on the Sabarimala case? Something we'll find out soon.
Well, we'll find out on May 23rd.